This program is brought to you by Ignite TV. Now you're in command. Visit Rogers.com for more details.
The opinions expressed in the following programs are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect those of Rogers Cable or Rogers TV.
Hello, and thank you for joining Age-Friendly Caledon Conversations, a segment series where we talk about the services and supports available to seniors in connection with Age-Friendly Caledon. I'm your host, Ken Weber, and for our segment today is a mighty title. It's Chronic Disease Self-Management, Taking an Active Role in Your Health. And our guest is Shirley Brennan, a local community member and volunteer peer leader with the Central West Chronic Disease Self-Management Program for the past 10 years. Welcome, Shirley.
Thank you for having me.
That took me a long time to get that out.
Yes.
Now, there's one thing I want to say else that I have in my notes, that it says that you are an advocate of self-management and passionate about empowering and helping others to live well with chronic health conditions.
Yes.
So this is something in which you have eminent experience, and you're going to be able to help us today with this education about it. So we simply have to begin with something very basic. What is chronic disease self-management?
So chronic disease self-management takes a role of its own. It's about the whole wellness. So when someone has a chronic condition, such as diabetes or heart disease, then they focus on medication and treatment from their healthcare professionals. With the self-management program, we get them to think about it as a partnership, because when you have a chronic condition, it becomes a partnership. You're sharing with your healthcare providers, relaying information. So what is it that you can do on the self-management aspect of it to better yourself? So things like eating healthy, getting physical activity, dealing with difficult emotions, making decisions, all kinds of things that affect the whole wellness of yourself and not just focusing on chronic disease.
Can you give us a concrete example by picking one? I suppose diabetes would be quite familiar to very many people,
okay,
whether they have it or whether they not. And your self-management program or your self-management principles, how would that work for someone with diabetes?
So someone with diabetes, it's the same as whether it's our chronic disease program or our diabetes self-management program. We start out with a toolbox, and in that toolbox is headings like physical activity, getting a good night's sleep, using guided imagery. It will have action plans, which is the greatest tool of all times, problem solving. And like any toolbox that you have at your house, we have various tools in them. And the nice thing about it is, depending on what the tool is, so I'm going to use the tool of action plans, for instance. When everyone in a self-management program makes an action plan. So they do things that allow them to take back their power. Because when somebody's been diagnosed with diabetes or have a family member with diabetes, they feel like everything that they used to know is gone. So I can't do this, I can't do that. So when we talk about the action plan tool, we get them to do small, doable things. And I always say everyone can eat an elephant, they just have to do it one bite at a time. So I'm making an action plan for myself, and if you were attending, you would make one for yourself. It's not, we all make one of the same one. We get to choose. So we want people to understand that when you've been diagnosed with the label of diabetes, it doesn't have to control your whole life. You should have control, and diabetes just goes along with you. So it's rethinking that my life is over to changing it that life is challenging and has new adventures all the time. So how can I fit this new adventure, if you want to call it that, into my day-to-day living.
So this is more than just how I deal with the, say, insulin, or how I deal with the diet changes that I'm facing.
Yes.
This is a great deal. This goes much farther, doesn't it?
Yes, and we don't actually talk a lot about insulin or medications for any chronic disease, because that's why you have healthcare providers. So self-management programs enhance healthcare. So you go to the healthcare providers, regardless of whether it's your GP or it's a specialist or it is a physiotherapist, whatever your healthcare provider is at the time, and all of the stuff that you do at the self-management program enhances that. So you look at things like, okay, I have to eat healthier. And we always talk, and I'll go back to the diabetes example, we never say there's a diet for diabetes. We say it is choosing to eat healthier. So if I say diet, it has that negative tone to it.
There's a force involved, isn't it?
Exactly.
Yes. Yeah. So you go back to your encourage people to take control. It isn't a case of being told. You figure out what's the best for you.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes, and it's in any tool we use, whether it's healthy eating, physical activity. If you mention to someone that has a chronic condition, physical activity, they're like, oh, well, let's say somebody that has chronic pain, and that's one of our programs we have. And you mention physical activity, and they're like, I can't do anything because I'm in so much pain. Well, letting them realize that the moment they move to get out of bed, that's physical activity. So then they start thinking, okay, I vacuumed today. That's physical activity. So it's reframing our thinking around what I can do and what I'm already doing.
It isn't. It's not just going to the gym or having your personal trainer. It's something much more involved than that. That's a wonderful idea. You did say, by the way, when you talked about all the things, there's a phrase you used that I really caught because it's a mystery to me. Guided imagery.
Guided imagery, yep.
What does that mean?
So guided imagery is like a daydream. So you can, in our programs, we will read it. So everyone sits there, and it might be a walk on the beach, or it might be a walk in the country. You can download them so that you can listen to them at night, and it just calms your senses. So it takes you out of the hustle and bustle of day-to-day living or what you're dealing with, and you're just envisioning, you're putting yourself in a different location and really being mindful of what's being said to you. And then it calms those sensitive areas down. So if somebody does guided imagery for a, let's say a two-minute segment, then for 2 minutes they didn't focus on their pain and they didn't focus on their chronic illness. They just focused on relaxation.
And they've gone to their beautiful space.
Yes.
In order to be able to do this.
Yes.
Do you teach people to do this?
Yes, we do. We actually do teach people to do it.
And how do you do that? Can you tell us?
So we have a couple of ways. So every person that attends our workshop, we do guided imagery and thinking activities using our mind four different times. And then, so we're going through and we're showing them different, whether it, like I said, the walk on the beach, whether it is envisioning you have a lemon in your hand and you can just taste it and smell it, and actually there's nothing there, but it shows you how powerful your mind is. But we also have an opportunity for people to become peer leaders in the community, so that after going through a training, they're able to go through a training through the self-management program, and if the fit is there, then we're always looking for peer leaders to be able in the community.
I really like that. Well, I'll come back to that in a second.
Okay.
Just a little more clarification of that. Is it correct to say that by developing this plan, with them developing this sense of self-management, you take the person with chronic pain or chronic disease, and their job is no longer being sick. Their job is to managing being sick so that they can overcome all the impact of what's bothering them.
Yes, so have that focus on wellness as opposed to being sick. So I always say, if you have diabetes, diabetes should be your handbag that goes with you. You shouldn't be its handbag. So learning how to have that wellness and know that there's going to be, you know, the days that you're down and out, and how to deal with it so you can bounce back.
I see. Now, if I were to become a peer leader, or if someone were to become a peer leader, this means undergoing a series of exercises, workshops with you to be trained in this?
So what I like to recommend is before you even contemplate being a peer leader, you have to know what the programs are. So attend the 6-week programs. And as I said earlier, we have them in chronic disease, we have them in chronic pain, we have them in diabetes as well. We also have one for caregivers, so powerful tools for caregivers, which is catching caregivers before they're hanging from the end of the rope and allowing them to realize how important they are to, realizing that if they don't take care of themselves, they're not going to be able to take care of their care receiver. And then, so I always encourage people to take the 6-week programs. So it's 2.5 hours a week for 6 weeks, and we touch on everything. You will walk away with a toolbox full of stuff that some will work for you, some won't work for you. Some you're not ready to, some feel uncomfortable, but we encourage everyone to try them out. And then to become a peer leader, you would apply to the self-management office. And the next time they do a peer leader training, if you fit the criteria, then you take the 4-day training, and then you're set up with someone like myself who has been doing it for a while, that you're not just pushed out on your own. There's always 2 leaders together, and you can become a peer leader.
I'm going to winkle out a few more details here. Let's go back to the 6-week program. This is the overall information time, is it?
Yep.
And when you say it's 2.5 hours a week, we're talking in Peel, are we?
We are talking, yes, they can be in our catch catch area, but in Peel. Yours would be in Peel, and we could be in Caledon, we could be in Orangeville, and I know that's not really Peel, it's just outside of it. It could be in Brampton. So that's the good thing about our programs. We bring them to you as opposed to you coming to us.
And then if I wanted to take part in this program, do I pay? Is it free?
There is no cost to anyone. It is in partnership with Ontario Health, so there is no fees for anyone to take it.
So your principal obligation is to get there.
Yes. And
then, of course, pay attention and take advantage of what the program offers.
Yes, and we like to partner with people in the community. So if there is a senior center, or there is a community center, or an organization that wants to partner with us to be our host, so that they supply our building that we can host it in, then that even works better for us.
All right. This is really useful information, and I'm getting all kinds of other questions. And I'm also getting a message that this session is almost ready for the break.
Okay.
Can we come back to the developing of a peer leader after we have the break?
Yes, sure.
This is Shirley Brennan, who is the volunteer peer leader with Central West Chronic Disease Self-Management Program, a very vital source of information about managing your illnesses and managing your conditions. Thanks, Shirley. We'll be back after the break.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Alethea O'Hara-Stevenson, host of In Conversation with Alethea. Do you know someone who is making a positive difference in Dufferin County? Do you know a local resident that has an encouraging story to tell about giving back to their community? If so, please contact us at alethea.stevenson@gmail.com.
Got my smile ready. Welcome back. We are talking to Shirley Brennan about chronic pain management, being your own chronic pain manager. And so far, you've given us very edifying information. I confess that I didn't know there was such an organization available, and I can tell you that I'm most impressed with what you are accomplishing. Now, we were talking about the 6 weeks program for learning about your own particular needs and how you can manage your needs. And you did have a couple of books that you were going to show us. Can you put those on the screen for us?
So this is the Living a Healthy Life with Chronic Conditions. So diabetes, heart disease, that sort of thing. And then anyone that has chronic pain and takes the 6-week program, it's Living a Healthy Life with Chronic Pain. And this actually comes with a Moving Easy exercise program that we tie into the 6-week program. These books are, every participant gets one. And again, we talked earlier about what was the cost. There's no cost to receive these. You sign up and this is automatically sent to you.
This would be a good time, before we go further down another lane, to ask how we get in touch with your organization, so that, how do I do it? For example, so that I want to learn about chronic pain, and how do I get in touch so that I can take this 6-week program and get the book?
So the best way is probably to email, and that would be cdsm@williamosler.org. So that's probably the best way, is to send an email or go to the website, Central West Self-Management website, and you'll be able to see everything there.
Okay, I think I can probably safely say that if viewers wanted to contact Age Friendly Caledon, they could give you the details that you've just provided us.
Great.
Okay.
Because and that's probably easier so that we're not, somebody misses a letter or something, or they've got so many places to go. So that's probably the best way to do it.
Sometimes, especially seniors, if they have to do it digitally, it'll be discouraging if you don't do it right the first time.
Exactly.
So that'll be a source for finding out about this information that you've given. We should have clarified earlier, and this is probably my fault, that this is under the William Osler system, right?
We are hosted by William Osler. So self-management programs are across Ontario. So that's another thing. If you're living in Caledon, but your family is living in another area of Ontario and just want to be able to be a support for you, they can take these programs as well. They just have to look up the self-management programs, and it'll give them their area where it is. So it's the same program that's being done in Caledon as it's being done in North Bay. So because it is an evidence-based program that is licensed to each area, and it originally was designed at Stanford University, and the Self-Management Resource Center has gone out as an entity of its own now. So they've left Stanford, but the original Dr. Kate Lorick that was at Stanford with all the findings and the evidence-based research on this program, she is still with the self-management program. So it's got a lot of research behind it.
Right. You've triggered something. This isn't in my notes, but I have to ask.
Yeah.
Does the medical profession know about these programs or this program as well as you would wish?
No.
Yeah, I thought you might say that.
So I wish we had the medical personnel to be able to see the benefits. And yes, we have nurses, we have healthcare providers that are also peer leaders. The good thing about these programs is when it was designed, they have said to us that peer leaders that are non-health professionals the participants get more out of it from a peer than a health professional. And what they say is, when a health professional is leading these programs, the participants know more. But when peers are leading it, they do more. So when I know that it's a nurse sitting in front of me, I might ask my question differently than if I know it's a peer leader. So it's important, and don't get me wrong, we have health professionals that make amazing leaders as well, because they can take off their health professional hat. So we like somebody that has diabetes to be a peer leader for diabetes. We like people that have chronic pain to be, because you have that lived experience, and it's such an interactive program. We don't just sit and I tell you everything to do, it's interactive. So even I learn things as the leader that's been doing this for over 10 years, I learn things from the people that attend. People do it a little bit different, and nobody is just there to just sit and take notes. We want you to participate and try things.
Well, this is so very basic, isn't it? To if you suffer from something, if you endure a pain, or if you endure a particular disease, it just seems so valuable to be able to have this system, so you can become a controller of your own situation.
Exactly.
Yeah, we should finish the peer leader thing that we began before.
Yes. Okay.
I mean, this is very essential to begin with, but then you can go one step further and really become active by becoming a peer leader, teaching people to be other leaders. And what's the process there? Okay,
so if I was if I was the trainer, which I am a master trainer in it, so I would have a group of people that have filled the criteria of becoming a master or a trainer. And so they would take that 4-day program, and what we do is we walk through the program, and then we do mock programs so that they have an opportunity to work through the program. And it is all scripted, so we are given exactly, because the evidence base is there, we have to follow what the program is. So, you know, when we're talking about healthy eating, I can't just go off on a you know, a tangent with, oh, this is what is good for you. No, this is what we get people. And you said it earlier when you used the word basic, and I love that word, because we go back to the basics. Let's read those food labels. Let's look at, are we eating healthy, and fit it into what you can afford. So just because I might be able to afford to buy that $7 head of lettuce, somebody else may not be able to, but they could buy frozen vegetables. So we get you to think about what's your situation. So although it's a group setting, it's individual.
Yeah, and you'll be able to take it from there, yes.
Yeah.
So now, master trainer, just a wee bit intimidating to say master trainer. Is that what you become after the 4-day?
No, you become a leader, or you become a leader then.
Okay.
So a master trainer is someone that trains the people to become the peer leaders.
Okay.
Yes, yes.
Well, that's several steps away from where we are right now.
Yes,
so.
and it is not an opportunity that comes along very often.
Okay.
Yeah.
But the big thing that we've accomplished, at least in my opinion, that we've accomplished so far, is the value of that program for 6 weeks. Which, by the way, I think we did mention, we should mention again, it can be done virtually, you said, right?
Yes. So we have two options. We have an in-person and we have a virtual. And that was the benefit of COVID and the pandemic, because we weren't able to meet in person. So they have certainly, SMRC at one point said it would never be virtual because we learn in a group setting, learning from each other, and then we had to go virtual. And now they have said you can either have a virtual class or you can have an in-person, but it would never be a combination of both. But that's good, because there's a lot of people that maybe are suffering in chronic pain. And when they're in chronic pain, they can't get out of bed. So they're not coming to a community program. It doesn't matter how effective we make it, they're not able to come. So the virtual ones allow them to. And I can tell you, in the last 4 years, we have seen people sleeping in their beds. We have seen people having to leave early. We have seen people laying on yoga mats. We have seen people up and down because we tell them, we want you to be as comfortable as you can to be able to have the program.
So if when you say you've seen them, this is an interchange, like a Zoom. I mean, you see them, they see you, and they can ask questions of you in the course of this, just like the face-to-face.
Yes, yes.
It still wouldn't be quite as exciting as face-to-face, but it's nice to know it's available.
It is funny you say that, though, because it is just as effective doing it on Zoom. And I quite like doing both of them. It's yes, you have the face-to-face, and you have, you have to change it up a little bit. In face-to-face, we have charts on the wall, and in virtual, we have to use slides. That's the difference. Other than that, you read people, and you said a few minutes ago, I ask questions, or they can ask me questions. I actually ask questions of them. So how do you deal with difficult emotions? How do you distract yourself from when you're having a bad day in chronic pain? Those are the questions. And what we do is we throw it out to the group so that if I say to you, Ken, how do you deal with your difficult emotions? And then the next person will answer. And then something that one of the participants said may trigger you to say, oh, I never thought of that. And it's such an interactive
wonderful
program.
Interchange, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
The caregivers. We're starting to run out of time here, and there's so much more to do. The support for caregivers. I'm sure there are caregivers seeing this video who really want to know what's available for them.
Yes.
Because they hurt often just as much as the person who's got the pain.
Yes. So we have a 90-minute, 6-week program for caregivers, and it's all about caregivers. And I say that right off the bat as soon as they come in. Sometimes it is hard to think about yourself, but when you're in that caregiver program, it's all about you. Because if you as a caregiver take care of yourself, you're a better caregiver, and everyone benefits.
And your program is available for them.
It is.
Unfortunately, I just got the signal we're going to have to terminate this. This is really very useful. Now, I'm going to repeat the fact that all the information that you've suggested to us is available via Age Friendly Caledon if they want to pick up the websites, and so that undertake particularly this 6-week program, enable people with a chronic disease or chronic pain to become manager of their own condition and a participant in their own life. Anyway, I think that's extremely valuable. I wish there were more time.
Yes,
and there will be more time if they get that book. Shirley Brennan, thank you so much. This has been most edifying and most useful. Really appreciate it. Thank you for joining our program today. Please tune into additional age-friendly Caledon conversations by they're seen on Rogers TV and later on YouTube. And you can also get information, this should be appearing on your screen, by phoning Caledon 311 or by emailing adult55@caledon.ca or visiting the website online www.caledon.ca/adult55. And when you're on that website, you can access the wonderful new e-newsletter free, and it's very worthwhile. This has been Caledon's Age-Friendly Conversations. Thank you for joining.
Connect with us by visiting our website or email us at comments@rogerstv.com.
You're watching an interesting local show on Rogers TV and you want to know more. That's when you head to rogerstv.com. Our website provides more information about our programs, our hosts, our schedule, and about how you too can get involved with Rogers TV. Visit us online at rogerstv.com.
I still remember the games, the laughter, the footsteps through the hallway. I'll never